Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the little delay. All right, so markets down overnight. And, it's another one of those days where you look at the number for wherever you do, website, open up your trading platform, whatever it might be, and you see this number, meaning up or down. And so last night, the Dow futures were down over 300 points. And NASDAQ futures were down at the time 123 or 130. I forget exactly what it was. And so now they're not down quite as much. Good morning. And so, the number, as I look at the chart, it's like, okay, so big deal. There's really nothing going on here, other than some consolidation at the top of this range. And we talked about the big wide range bar coming off of the low and how this historically is not a very good setup to get short, not initially. And one of the things I mentioned was that if it could spend a few days up here and then started to go to the downside, that would make it much more attractive as a short setup. And that might be what we're in for here, since it was lower and buyers seem to take it on, any move down towards some support, where this broke and right back up yesterday, had the rally. And then on this Apple news where Apple is lowering their guidance and whatever is going on in China and their sales are going to be down, blah, blah, blah. So we'll keep an eye on Apple. We'll take a look at it, which is down, I guess, around 14 points or so here. And is that significant? Well, what does that mean? Is it breaking through support? Is there a void below? And if there is, well, then keeping an eye on that might lead to guidance as to this maybe moving lower. Right now, it's just, going sideways. It can't even break into the top of this wide range bar. And so yesterday kind of touched it and it sprung back up, which says buyers are stepping up on the dip, which you can see is what's happening here on the intraday time frame. And so this other scenario, as I explained, was it makes a higher low, higher high into here, where then we're going to want to short it. Why is it not probable to consolidate and then move up? Well, it could. This could be the higher low. This could be where it's consolidating, and then it moves up into this area where it'll set up as a short. This is what I would kind of call the kill zone, where the majorities will want to short this or any stock with this price pattern. So we'll see whether it's going to begin to roll here or this scenario. Right now, it's just going sideways, chopping back and forth, which leads to, okay, whatever stock you're looking at, you could probably trade that intraday, or maybe it's on its own page. But market-wise, market discussion, as we're looking at this chart, right now it's just a sideways, choppy consolidation that's going nowhere. Oh, you had the move up, power against bigger power, selling, buying, opposing forces equals trading range. Which way does the range go? Well, downtrend would suggest lower, but it got a bit climactic. So we've got some opposing forces or inconsistencies here. It was when volume working, I'm not sure what that means. So how much influence does the overnight session have on the price of the day session? It has an influence, Frank, primarily for those that are trading futures. Historically, what will happen is if those two chart patterns are out of sync with each other, there'll be a tendency for choppiness until they come into alignment with each other. It's one of the hurdles, in a sense, of trading futures or using the overnight session. if you're trading gaps, it's probably, keep an eye on the 24-hour session. But, I traded equity futures for quite a number of years, and that was always kind of something that kind of threw a fly in the ointment kind of as to those things being out of alignment. When they were in alignment, you've got those two groups, if you will, looking at the same thing. Okay. So let's move on here. So that's the interpretation of the pattern that's happening right there. And sometimes, we find some differences. Well, so here's the NQs, which is Apple. Well, Apple's going to have an effect on the Dow, but here on the NQs, you have a little bit of a deeper move into that wide range bar, and this resistance being created here. But in any event, we've got a trading range going on. And so market-wise, we're bearish to neutral, unless we can get above or below yesterday's higher low. And there's the ES, same story going on there. And it continues to consolidate here. It's building up some support after the power move up. But if it breaks below this level right here, well, then I'm going to be looking for lower prices. Bonds continue to push up, okay, which means the yield curve is continuing to narrow, which at some point is going to alarm many, which it already has. But now once it becomes a fact that it's happened, well, historically, we know what's going to happen after that. And oil starting to move up here a little bit. Not a big deal. It's still in a downtrend. Let's see if it can get back up to $50 and what the reaction is there. Gold continues to push up toward that resistance level up there. I mentioned yesterday, gold is moving up. The gold miners, they're kind of sitting there going like, why? Why are you going up, gold? But if it's going up, somebody's going to buy gold mining stocks, but what a mess compared to the actual commodity. I mean, that's a nice uptrend. The bars open in the area, the prior bars close, they continue to march higher. The momentum is slowing as it's nearing this resistance area. You can see how the ranges are contracting and the bodies are contracting. So it's rising on slowing momentum. And look at the volume, and not much there to the upside. But this here is a sloppy mess of overlapping bars, whipping up and down. So I've just got no interest there. Russell, just flat here, right? Same story everywhere, just different variations of the same thing. And transports, stabilization day, but after a really bad move down. And semiconductors were having a decent day yesterday, but still in a downtrend. Sellers are going to show up here in this area any day now. Same thing with computer software, aerospace and defense. Maybe it gets a little higher. It's moving up here this morning. I'm going to take a look at Boeing. I'll take a look at that myself, see what's going on there. And retailing. And those things, were on the plus side yesterday, and they dragged up even things that were initially weak as buyers stepped up. But this buying that initiated with this wide range bar is just working its way up to the point where sellers are going to get aggressive. Internet stocks, same story. And out of curiosity, I just want to see what Apple is myself. Getting a little weaker, 143. Where's that? Okay, so it's below this swing low. That's a decent sized gap. And we'll just have to see what Apple lovers do here in the first 15 minutes or so. Do they want to snap up some shares that are inexpensive, or is it time to Apple to die some more? 143.
Yeah, Greg, it's funny. Kramer was on saying, "Hey, with a gap this big, it's definitely going lower." So I don't know, whatever. But Kramer likes it at 120. We're pattern traders. I'm just adding whatever, but that would be a good level, sure.
Maybe he's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is down a whole bunch over the last month and a half or so. It's gapping down to this support point. So we'll see what it does. Trying to developing transports, George. I mean, they were holding up for a little while and then just got shellacked. They're on the support here. But look, when you see patterns like this that move vertically, they create a void, which opens the door to a bounce. So we're only, the beginning of the middle of the second week from that collapse. And I mean, just go look at your oil chart that was down a whole lot. And when it got like this and it couldn't bounce after a while, it rolled over and did another nosedive again. So the clock is ticking here on these markets. They're in downtrends. They got extended to the downside. They're trying to bounce. If you want to day trade it over that high or swing trade it, I'm good with that because you got an extended situation here where it's holding, but the big power is lower. Okay. So just know what you're dealing with. And if it moves up nicely, take your money. If it nosedives and like takes out the low of a 60-minute bar that looked like it was going higher, maybe you want to think about stepping aside. But when I look at something like this and I say, okay, here's some, stabilization and a power bar and a gap reversal, and that all looks good, and I trade that, I know I'm kind of putting my head in the lion's cage, trying to steal his lunch. And maybe, if he can grab me, he's going to kill me. I'm trying to just give you an analogy of what you're dealing with here. It's a mouse against a lion. So sometimes it can get a decent move up when it gets this climactic. But as I said, as we went through these different markets and trends, it's just a matter of time before the sellers are going to show up. So they're just waiting. They're waiting, looking to put the knife in this pig, so to speak, at their appropriate moment that they feel is the best entry point. So the longer it cannot bounce, the greater the odds are that it's going to go down without bouncing. So, know what you're dealing with. It's not in an uptrend, whereas the odds are overwhelmingly in your favor with this same pattern in an uptrend in the right location. It's an amazing bullish pattern. In a downtrend like this, if it can't get going soon, it's going down. And that leads me to saying, Dan, it's all yours.
All right, you just gave me another MT Live topic. It's going to be buying breakouts in all trends, uptrends, downtrends, sideways trends. We'll analyze them in all three. And when you said, Greg, about putting your head in the lion's mouth and taking his food, my Canadian friend, John, he gave me the same analogy when we were out boating one day. And he was talking about, diving for lobsters and the barracudas coming after you. And it's like, you're down there taking their food. So, of course, they're not going to like you. Opens. Slob, we did a put spread, bottoming, daily and weekly. It's kind of a retest here, but I like the climactic, and oil was bouncing a little bit yesterday, showing relative strength. So we did a put spread there. PayPal, we have an iron condor, and it's gapping down just like yesterday. So it shouldn't hurt us at all. We have a very wide put spread. What else we got? Whiskey Bravo, the 55s put spreads. It's gapping down, but nothing to do now. Rost, put spread. GoDaddy, put spread way, under support. Dollar Tree. Here, let me show you a post I did yesterday in our open trade sheet, just so you have it. Where are you? Right here. There you go. Had a nice close. And Starbucks, we have a bear put debit spread, which is called a mildly bearish put spread. And I did the video on that and sent it out as a chart of the week last night and explained the whole trade, why we selected the strikes, etc. Let's look at a bunch of miscellaneous stocks. I'm just noticing here on the FANGs that Netflix is showing relative strength. Why? Because it's filling the gap here pre-market. Relative strength. I know you all asked about a bunch of stocks, so let's go through them right now. Abgo, supplier, I think somebody said, affecting, from the Apple news. And you know what, folks? I had an email from somebody who was frantic last night on Apple, and I didn't know what he was talking about. And he says it's down against me. I'm like, what do you mean? Well, number one, it looks right where it is where we entered it. But number two, we closed ours at a profit the other day. And I don't know if he did it on his own or if he didn't get the Telegram alert. But we're in here watching the markets all day. But that's why we have Telegram. So we got out of that at a small profit, and now has a big old problem on his hands. And I hate hearing that. So back to Abgo, 243.50. It's back to range bound. It's been showing relative strength to the stock in the sector, but it's gapping under that green bar. I don't know what to do with it. It could be a short-term iron condor. SWKS, 65 bucks, same bearish gap. No pattern. I got no interest in that. Cuervo, 58 bucks. Yeah, it looks almost identical to that SWKS. I watch too much stuff at the open, so that's why you see me pruning. My goal here pre-market is to get our bias and get our focus list. MLNX, 82 bucks. It's a bearish gap. That's a definite now call spread candidate. Let's see what it does at the 200. So I'll leave him and we'll come back to him. LIN, I don't like the way it trades. Look at that. That's we used to call that a toad in the blender. I just have no interest in those patterns. 56 bucks. It's gapping under this bar. We got to wait, see what happens. I found this little guy just on the ticker going by. Look, relative strength. It's at monthly resistance, but I like the breakdown failure on the daily. Rocketed up, slicing through this. Well, it actually gapped over it. And it's a bullish weekly. Let's keep that. And it's a utility. I looked it up. Some of these airlines, I know Jets is ugly. The sector. Oh, let me widen this out, sorry, for our pre-market. So the longer term monthly is ugly, but I got a couple of these as short-term put spread candidates, as breakdown failures, going sideways. They're gapping down today, but I'm just going to leave them here. UAL. Nah, gapping down a lot. Delta. They nothing ripe. I saw an article in the journal about, there's like 47,000 letters written for exclusions, it said, on the steel tariffs. And so I just wanted to look at a couple of the steel stocks. They're beat up pretty bad. So I'll just leave X in here. It always has pretty good juice for a put spread. kind of similar to what we did with Slav SLB, upgrade 44 bucks. Yeah, I like that. That's, again, I mean, we love trading directionals. Feel free to tell me if you find one. But this is not a directional. Well, did I type it wrong? Yep. Fizzler. I like the gap though, and I like this breakdown failure. So I like this as a 30-minute high for a put spread. So I like that one. Now, say I'm trading news, and we'll actually do an MT live on that. And I told the guy in the Facebook group yesterday, and as I typed to somebody this morning, news just brings us to the chart. No pattern, no trade. No pattern, no trade. And I actually love fading news, meaning if something's going up on bad news and I have a bullish pattern, that's better. TIVA here, look, nice gap. I don't know if this has anything to do with the BMY merger, but I like TIVA here as a put spread also. I'm going to put that in a window. Paul, yeah, I mean, don't take the trade now, of course. I would, you know, I just go over open positions, but to answer your question, we have the 67.62, which gave us 47 cents. Hey, look at our slob, even green now, which gave us 47 cents of positive time decay. And if you don't know what that means, let's come back to it later, because that's why we love, that's how we do directional trades. We still put the time decay on the long option in our favor by selling it out of the money one. Here's SWKS we looked at earlier. Light gapping down to 39 bucks. It's a bearish gap. But see, I got to see what the weekly looks like if I was going to short that. Wow, that's had a bad couple of months. TECS, 30 bucks. Hey, that ain't bad. Oh, that's Tech Bear 3X. And that looks, because it's levered is why it's gapping over this. Yeah, BMY I have in my long. It's just like Apple. It's a nasty gap. So there's nothing to do at the open. But volatility is going to be off the charts. Nah, that's a bearish monthly too. But you got to see what happens. So we'll come back to it. What do we got here? UNF. I don't like the way it's spotty trades. Sample garbage, but I like them. Nah, it's garbage. Here's your FXI. No pattern to us whatsoever, Paul, on the bullish side. It's in a downtrend daily. It's a bearish engulfing on the weekly. It's what we call a bull sandwich on the monthly. That's not our style at all. I see the markets here holding. So they have here's the cues. It had a bullish pre-market run,